Hi, my name is CJ, and this is my RC channel. In this video, I'm going to be unboxing, setting up, and flying the E-Flite UMX Radian. This is a new version of an existing kit they've had out for a number of years. They've made a handful of improvements, making it easier to fly, a little more stable, and it's got quite a reputation as being a nice, easy to fly airplane. Let's see, it flies on a 1S battery, which you need to provide. It doesn't come with any, and you need to provide your own transmitter. It has AS3X and safe technology, so you can make it extremely easy to fly for beginners. And there's a, the weight of the aircraft is under 250 grams, which means you do not need to register it with the FAA if you live in the United States. That's a little bonus. So I'll give you all the particulars on this airplane as I'm unboxing it and going over it with you, and I'll be taking it out and giving it a flight. And in an upcoming video, I have a very interesting modification planned for this airplane. It's inexpensive and it should really do interesting things for its flight envelope. So that's all to come. I'm not going to give you any more than that teaser. That's a good reason for you to subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notifications of all new videos that I put out. So just a quick overview. The E-Flite UMX Radian BNF Basic with AS3X and Safe Select is part number EFLU2950. It goes for $99.99. It's an ultra-micro motor glider. The AS3X technology smooths out the effects of wind and turbulence, making it feel like you're flying a much larger airplane. The E-Flite upgraded this new version to include the optional use Safe Select technology, making the Radian even easier to fly. With a compatible transmitter, you can receive real-time battery voltage telemetry. Key features include long flight times, 10 to 20 minutes plus, with a mix of power on and off flying using a 1S 150 to 200 milliamp batteries. Removable one-piece wing with composite spar for easy and convenient storage and transport. In other words, you can put it right back into the original box and take it around in your car in that. No FAA registration required because it's under the 250 gram weight limit. Factory finished and ready to fly right out of the box. What you need to complete this model airplane: 4 to 5 plus channel Spectrum DSMX DSM2 compatible transmitter. In other words, the transmitter does not have to be Spectrum, but it has to be capable of the DSMX DSM2 protocols. You have to have a 1S 3.7 volt 150 to 200 milliamp lipo, and it has to have the Ultra-Micro connector on it. Best to just buy the E-Flite batteries. They're very inexpensive, and you'll need, of course, a lipo battery charger. I have a Spectrum DX6 transmitter, and when I purchased this airplane, I bought 3 of the 150 milliamp 1S batteries, 45C, for $5.99 each. Those are E-Flite's batteries. The part number on those is EFLB1501S45. Another nice feature about this is if you crash it, you can pretty much buy any part of this airplane. For example, the fuselage and push rods, $22.99. The main wing is only $22.99. The gearbox without the motor is $7.99. Rudder, elevator, and the hardware that goes with those, $13.99. The motor is $15.99, the folding prop is $6.99, the decal sheet is $8.99, and the flight controller, which is probably the least likely to get damaged and also the most expensive, is $5.99. Now, if you burn up your flight controller at $60, I would recommend spending the additional $40, getting a whole new airplane and using your original one as spare parts for the new one. So let's open up the box and have a look. Now, I stuck my batteries in here earlier just to have them with the box. As you can see, these things are very small. They're smaller than even my little finger. Let's see. Okay, we've got a little bag taped over here, and it's got, looks like some type of two-sided tape item, and 3 screws. Check out the instructions. I'm guessing those might have to do with anchoring the wing. Very light. Prop folds nice and easy. We have a little landing skid here. Looks like the nose cone here is just held on with some tape. Likewise, the fuselage. It's pretty sturdy. It doesn't have a lot of torsion to it, which means the tail surface should work well. It's got a lot of tape holding it together, but that would make it easy to repair and replace in the event of crash damage. Trying to be as gentle as possible here. Looks like we got some bubbles here under the decals. Okay, I think what I'll need to do is take a pin and poke a hole in that bubble to let the air out, and then slick down the decal. Be careful that you don't compress the you know, I think I'm going to peel these off. These decals are pretty lame. Not only are they not stuck on with much care, but they are just bubbling up like crazy. And they're full of ripples. Definitely want to leave these on the bottom. Those help you orient. In other words, it helps you tell whether the plane is right set up or upside down if it's any distance away. I wonder if that spar is glued in or if it's just held in by this strip of tape. Well, not going to worry about that right now. Now, I'm not seeing any directions. I wonder if they are underneath here. Let me take a look. taped to the bottom. And there doesn't appear to be anything else in here. So that is everything in the kit. Fuselage, wing, bag with 3 screws, and directions. And again, the flight batteries I put in there. And this is the transmitter I'm going to be using, my DX8. I might have said DX6 earlier by mistake, I'm not sure. In any event, it's obviously a DX8. So I'm going to review these directions, and then I'm going to come back and do the setup. Now, yes, you can pack this up. It is 730 millimeters, a little less than 29 inches in wingspan. This is so small that even in a teeny hatchback, you still have tons of space. You could put this in the footwell of the passenger side of the car. I'm probably going to assemble the wing and leave it in place. I'm probably not going to be removing it between flights for transportation. I just don't think that's necessary. I've got plenty of space in my car. I think it's more trouble than it's worth to be unscrewing the wing and putting it back in the fuselage. But that's up to you, how you'd play that. So I'll find out what these little tabs are for, and we'll go for the setup. Okay, so if you want to try to salvage the decals, which I did, I started at this end here with an X-Acto knife and just got under the edge and then peeled most of the decal up to the point where it was at the big bubble back here, and then just slowly slicked it back down again, getting any wrinkles and such out. I did as good a job as I could. There are a few little ripples, which I can probably get most out just by giving them a little massaging. But in any event, the big bubbles are gone, so there's no... because those were big enough that they would be deforming the airfoil, and that would be bad. So if you want to keep the decals, which definitely help you, orient the plane, and they look half decent. At a distance, you're not going to see the ripples and stuff. Go ahead and do that. Now, to put it together, you're just going to slide the wing in. And before doing that, it's a good idea to cut the decals, at least pierce them, so this, if the screw goes through, that's not going to be an issue. And then we can pretty much look down the hole and visually line up so that looks like we're in the ballpark there. We only need 2 of these 3 screws, and those little tabs are strips of thin 2-sided tape like Velcro. I mean, not tape, hook and loop. And we're gonna stick one down, and that will allow us to anchor our battery in place. Okay, now, I really should have checked my collection before I bought those 3 batteries, because I've already got these. These are by Tattoo, and they are 200 milliamp. I mean, excuse me, 220 milliamp, 45 Cs. So these are perfect for this, and as you can see, they more than fit the space. So that should give a substantially longer flight time, probably up above 12 to 15 minutes. Of course, that depends on how much you use the prop and how much time you spend gliding. So I've got a couple batteries charging. As soon as one of them hits charge, I will go ahead and plug it in, and I will show you the radio setup and config. Now, we're talking a very easy setup here because we don't have anything in the way of flaps or ailerons, so there's no real fancy settings we can do here. I definitely recommend hanging on to that extra screw. Put it in your flight box or any toolbox you bring with you. Now we have 2 different pieces here. The small one should be used for the fuselage here. And remember, like any airplane, we've got a center of gravity to deal with. So we should be positioning our battery so as to balance out the aircraft. So we have a decent amount of room to move that battery forward and backward. I would assume that they have designed this aircraft so that it balances somewhere in there. We shouldn't have to add any ballast or weight. Ballast is different. Ballast is additional weight for extreme wind conditions when you want to make the plane heavier so that it can penetrate. Just adding weight for balancing is trying to get the center of gravity leveled out. Now, these E-Flite is usually pretty good about giving us our balance point. It might even be the carbon rod or something convenient like that. There's no markings that I can see. And I can see I got a couple of big bubbles here. Do you find these videos to be helpful, useful to you? Then please help me keep this channel going by donating. Click the link up here and you can donate safely through PayPal on either a one-time or a monthly basis, your choice. I'd like to know what the heat tolerance is of this foam, because one of the things that could be done is the wing could be sheeted with a thin iron-on foam. A thin iron-on film, like the Park Light film is extremely light, and the wing does have some flex to it, as you can see, and having a thin layer of film top and bottom would it wouldn't add much weight, and it would make the wing a little more rigid. So I'll think about that down the road. Maybe I'll look up the heat tolerance for this foam and do some testing. We'll see. So I'm waiting on batteries. In the meantime, I'm going to continue reading the directions. That's fairly simple, and they give you a good section on you know, what to do at the field, like, you know, doing a range test, making sure that you've got, you know, a clear area to fly, and all those things are important. One of the things that gets hobbies like this in trouble is people going around doing things that, yes, they are fun, but they are dangerous to the public. Even if it's not that dangerous, it's radical enough to get people's attention. In my area, every park now has a sign that says no drones. And that's because people went around doing crazy drone flying and, you know, putting it up on YouTube, attracting attention to themselves. And, you know, that gets, you know, JQ public angry. You know, you've got housewives with nothing better to do than call their local representatives and complain about a bunch of kids flying these dangerous aircraft, and then all of a sudden no one can fly at their local park. I grew up flying in schoolyards near my house, and it's a real shame that the younger generation isn't going to get to do that because people had to go and spoil the party. You know, it's the same thing with people doing speed runs with RC cars. You know, putting a huge motor and, you know, massive number of cells into a car to make it go over 100 miles an hour is all good and fine, but there's nowhere to really do that without potentially being unsafe. All it takes is some lady jogging through the parking lot with her dog, and as you're zooming your speed run at 100+ miles an hour, and if you hit someone with a RC car weighing over 15 pounds going over 100 miles an hour, that's a highly destructive force, and there's no way you're going to stop it in time. You have no control over these cars at that speed. You barely keep them going in a straight line. That's the kind of thing that gets, you know, local places shut down. You know, people wonder, hey, I just came out to run my car in the parking lot. Why are the cops hassling me? Well, stuff like that, you know. I mean, I'm all for going and doing your speed runs, but find a safe place to do it, for God's sake. You've got to be careful of the public. You've got to have, you know, consideration for other people. And sorry if I'm rambling on about this, but it's important. You know, you fly even a small plane like this around some lady's little kids, and she's going to throw a fit and call the cops. You know, so, you know, don't buzz people with your airplane. Fly it in a safe way. If someone shows up, people show up at the park, immediately set down the plane, tell them what you're doing, ask them to keep a safe distance while you fly, and if all else fails, just leave and go somewhere else and fly. You know, show up earlier in the morning before people get there, whatever. But, you know, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting everybody who's in the hobby. Okay, a few little tricks. If you've gotten several batteries, you've probably gotten multiple pieces of this two-sided tape. Put the hook side of the tape into the aircraft, and use the loop side, the fluffier side, on your batteries. And the reason is that when you have the batteries out, you don't want these picking up. If you have the hook side on here, it'll pick up lint, it'll pick up dust. If you drop it, it's going to stick to carpet or clothes, things like that, and it'll just get degraded over time. So better to go with the loop side, the fuzzy side here. Also, the batteries, whether it's my tattoos or whether it's the E-Flite batteries, have a raised side. If you see this, the battery is not flat. Okay, so if you put your loop here, it's not going to stick well. Okay, put your loop tape on the flat side of the battery. So also, Some of these have a tab, or it's like a loop. These things were kind of like a loop, but it was still sticky, and I squeezed it together at one edge to make a pull tab. It just makes it easier to use. Like, okay, see, here's one that I haven't done yet, and if I just slide that up like this and then work the tape over, pinch it, boom, nice and easy. And then I just need to take my loop material, get this peeling off. It's a little hard to get started. Sometimes you'll need to use the tip of an X-Acto blade to get it going. Sometimes if you don't get it right away or easily at one end, go to the other side. Oops. Sometimes folding it to one side will, flipping a corner over, pinching it will help get it loosened. And it's just perfect that the piece I try to demo for you is particularly stubborn. Okay, go to the flat side, go about midway. Okay, so I've got 3 batteries set up. I went ahead and set up one of the standard batteries and 2 of my larger batteries. So, radio setup. Okay, so I'm going to create a new model. I'll go ahead and using plane instead of sailplane for this. Okay, the light is flashing rapidly. Pressing bind.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry. Bind complete.
That's not good. I've got a rudder that doesn't quite center. And it gives more throw to one side than the other. Okay, I'm going to reset my trim and I'm going to adjust that manually. So there's our safe select, and if I flip up my toggle switch here, that's gone. Still have AS3X. So there's my get out of jail free card. I'm gonna leave it like this and have mostly manual control. And then I can put it in that mode and have the plane recover when it gets in trouble. Okay. So, very simple. Your radio, of course, is going to be different than mine, most likely. Even if you've got an 8 and it's a Spectrum, you may not have the same layout that I have. You may have an older or newer model. But in any event, that's all there is to that.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel. If you click the bell icon, you'll receive notifications every time I launch a new video. Thank you for watching.